Hello, welcome to History Notes Dash. I'm Trey Hyman, and today in this video, we're going to talk about the colony of Jamestown. Let's just say it wasn't smooth sailing when they first established the colony. Pun! It is important to note that we could spend hours discussing the hardships and struggles and achievements of Jamestown, but for the sake of time, we're only going to talk about significant details and dates of the colony. So in 1606, under a royal charter from the King of England, a group of investors called the Virginia Company of London financed a voyage to cross the Atlantic and establish a colony there. Their primary motive for doing this is to make money, to get rich off of maybe gold that they could find or any natural resources there. So in May of 1607, Jamestown would be established in what would later be known as the Colony of Virginia. It would be the first permanent English settlement in the New World. There were 3 ships on this voyage, and most of the men aboard these ships were called gentlemen. These were wealthy men, but they were not accustomed to the intense physical labor that would be required of them when building this colony. There were other men like farmers and other skilled craftsmen, but most of them were gentlemen. There were also indentured servants, but they couldn't afford the travel expenses to get to the New World. So in exchange for the travel expenses, they would work for a certain amount of time to pay off those expenses. One of the men on the boats was John Smith. He was an explorer and a leader at Jamestown. He helped build relations with the natives, and he also helped motivate people, the colonists, to work. His policy was this: if you don't work, you don't eat. Yikes. So when they arrive to the New World, they actually land in what is now modern-day Virginia. They head into the Chesapeake Bay, up the James River, and locate a spot to make landfall. The location that they had chosen had some advantages and some disadvantages. Some of the advantage of this location included this. One, the spot that they had located was mostly surrounded by water. So that helped with protection and security, and the water that surrounded it was the James River. So this was a deep, navigable river. That meant it had deep waters. It allowed these big boats to come in, drop their anchor, dock, and unload any supplies, and they'd be able to turn around and head back into the Atlantic. Another advantage was that it was far enough in the mainland to keep them away from any possible enemy attacks from any other boats. Some disadvantages of this location included these. One, when they arrived, that area was in a very severe drought. That was going to make it very difficult to plant their crops and to sustain those crops. Another disadvantage was that the location was a swamp. So with the swamp there comes hot and humid climates, pests like snakes and other rodents and creatures. Bugs like mosquitoes, which spread diseases like malaria that would impact the colonists. It made it difficult on that type of soil to build cabins. The water was salty. You weren't able to drink it. It was unsanitary. They didn't have the best hygiene back then, so you'd see a lot of human filth in the water. It was just a nasty place to set up a colony. Another hardship that the colonists experienced was called the starving time in 1609. Because of the drought, it made food scarce, and there was a lot of people just being lazy, not working. And so as they headed into this intense winter, a lot of people were impacted. People were starving, people were getting sick. Nearly 80% of the colony was wiped out during this time. The colony experienced a lot of hardships as they were trying to build that colony. One of the hardships that they experienced or encountered was the relations with the Native Americans there. At first, the natives they had some mixed feelings towards the English arriving, but it later became very volatile. It became a volatile relationship. There was clashes over food, over trade, and over territory, and there was numerous attacks on the settlement. In one attack, there was a young Native American girl named Pocahontas, and she was captured by the colonists. She would later be influential in bringing a sense of peace between one of the Native American tribes there and the colonists. Pocahontas would later marry an Englishman by the name of John Rolfe. He's significant to the history of Jamestown because he brought tobacco into the colony, and tobacco would later become the cash crop that would save and sustain the colony. Remember that the primary reason for establishing Jamestown was an economic reason. It was to make money, and so tobacco is going to do just that. With tobacco thriving in the colony, we later see slavery introduced for the first time in Jamestown and in the English colonies. It really sets the precedent for slavery in American history. Another significant detail about the year 1619 is the House of Burgesses meets for the first time in the colony of Jamestown. This is the first representative assembly or representative government in the colonies. It's called the House of Burgesses, and they meet for the first time in Jamestown in 1619. If you were to stash a few thoughts from this video, I would include these. First, Jamestown is founded in 1607 and is the first permanent English settlement in the New World. The second thought is this. In 1619, the House of Burgesses meets for the first time in Jamestown. Please comment below if you have any questions or thoughts. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on History Note Stash.